Today we're going to be cooking penne with pesto. Okay, so penne with pesto, if you've done the noodles and cheese recipe, penne with pesto is almost the exact same thing, only instead of just cheese and butter, we're going to use pesto. So I am going to be using a pesto that I've made in advance and that you have in your freezer. And if you're somebody else watching this video, you can buy pesto. The best place to get pesto is go to an Italian food shop and get pesto. Or you can send me an email and I'll make you some pesto. But all we need, so all our ingredients is, you can use whatever noodles you like, but we're going to use penne, which is here. And again, for one person, it's half a box. The homemade pesto is this, and that's a big pack because I'm serving 2 people today, but your pack would be half that size if it's a serving for one. And basically, all you need other than that is Parmesan cheese to put on top. There's no fancy ingredients in this. Okay, it's very simple. So we know what our ingredients are. We've got our ingredients ready to go. Okay, our first step is we're going to get a big pot. And we're going to fill that up just a little past halfway with water. So I just went over to the sink and filled this up. There's my pot. It's a little more than half full. I'm going to put that on the stove. Okay, so now I put the pot on the stove. I'm going to turn the pot on high. And I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of salt. Okay, I just measured in my hand. You can use a spoon. A big spoon. Okay, that's about how much salt you're going to use. Where's the camera? There's a tablespoon of salt, more or less. You can use a little more, doesn't matter. Within reason. Okay, so now we put the pot on. We have to wait now for the water to boil. So here's a little reminder, a little safety reminder. Okay, when you are putting anything on the stove, when you have anything on the stove, and you're waiting for it to be ready or you're waiting for it to cook, do not leave the room. You can go in the living room if you can still see the stove from your couch or chair, whatever, but don't go into your bedroom and have a nap or have a lie down or have a rest. When you're cooking, you have to be able, as long as your stove is turned on, you have to be able to see the stove. Okay? So my stove is turned on. Check to make sure that your switch is set to high on the stove, to the highest setting. And now we're just going to wait. It's going to take between 5 and 10 minutes for the water to boil. And so that's when we'll put the noodles in. We'll be right back. Okay, so here we are at the stove, okay? And you can see that the pot is boiling. So I'm going to take the lid off, put it in the sink, so it's out of my way, okay? And what we're going to do is now we're going to put pasta in. Now, as I said before, I'm cooking personally for 2, but you're going to put in, for one person, half a box. Okay? And so you have to have a look at the box and shake in what you think is half a box of pasta. Okay? You can guesstimate, or you can pour some out into a bowl in advance so that you're not making a mistake over a hot pot. Okay, so there's half a box of pasta in. What you're going to do is use a big spoon and stir the pasta around so that the noodles don't stick together. And then you're going to set a timer on your phone for 12 minutes. Okay, you can just go to the main screen of your phone where you have Google and you tap on the Google thing and you say, "Hey Google, set a timer for 12 minutes. And that's what I'm going to do. And then in 12 minutes, we're going to put the pesto together and it'll all be over and you'll be eating. Okay, in the meantime, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put the strainer, the clean strainer, in the sink, make sure the sink is cleared out so that when my noodles are ready, I don't have to scramble to do anything. My strainer will be there. I'm just going to drain my noodles. Okay, so set your timer. Remember, don't go to your room, don't go to sleep. You have to keep a little bit of an eye on the kitchen every time the stove is turned on. See you in a minute. Okay, it's been 12 minutes and the noodles should be fine. Oven mitts on. I've already put the strainer in the sink. So I'm going to carefully lift up the pot. And I'm going to go over to the sink and strain the noodles. Now what we're going to do is just carefully, and you can rest your pot on the edge of the sink if it's too heavy to lift up, and just carefully, gradually pour your noodles in. Okay? Now in this case, just like with noodles and cheese, we're going to sauce in the pot. So I'm going to pick up the strainer full of noodles, give it a shake, try not to shake all the noodles out, and throw those noodles back in the pot. And if there's a little water on them with pesto, that's okay, because the water just adds a little more sauce to the sauce. Now, something I should have done, but forgot. So now we're back at the stove, but you'll notice the burner's red. That's because I forgot to turn it off. So always make sure when you take something off the stove, always make sure that you turn the heat off right away. Now, here's what we'll do. This is your pesto, okay? And it's in a bag like this. Yours might have been in the freezer. I should mention you can use it frozen, but you can just take it out when you put the water on for your pasta and just leave the pesto on the counter. So all I'm going to do is, the pesto should just come out of the bag very nicely. You might have to shake it a little bit. But it'll come out. Okay, pesto's out. You can scrape that out if you want to, but I don't think you do want to. So, and then what we're going to do is, I like to work on the heat a little bit. But what you want to do is, it's just like noodles and cheese. You're just stirring around, and it's going to take a little bit of stirring and mixing to get the pesto to spread out and to cover your noodles. And you may find the pesto, sometimes I find the pesto is a little bit clingy and lumpy. It doesn't spread out very much. So my trick is I just get a couple of tablespoons of water in a glass and throw that in. And it loosens the pesto up and gets it coating the noodles. Super simple. And that water will, by the time you finish stirring around, the water will reduce, it'll be gone. But your pesto will be mixed up nicer. So it just takes a few minutes, and stir it up thoroughly, because it's nice when it's all coated around the noodles. Take a minute and do it properly, because you'll enjoy it more. Okay, so what's this going to look like? Here's what you're going to see. You can see how the pesto is kind of all over the noodles, right? It's all mixed up, and now we're ready to serve. So, just take your pasta bowl, use a big spoon. You may have, there may be more pasta than you can eat, and that's okay. And then when you've got a nice serving of pesto, sit down at the table. Take your cheese and your grater and sit down at the table, and what you can do is, while the noodles are cooling, you can grate your cheese on top, and then you're ready to go. So have a nice dinner, and don't forget, when we're finished all of this stuff, always check to make sure everything on the stove is turned off. Okay, so enjoy your pesto. I'll see you soon.